Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we're throwing fists in Street Fighter and ARMS. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell.
Hey Patrick, how's it going?
It's going, man.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Yesterday was one of today I feel like is a personal victory.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, yesterday was one of those days where I don't know, you're just not really feeling. You're just not really in your groove.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you in your getting ready to go to bed and you realize you had your underwear inside out the entire day and you're just yeah, that follows.
You keep saying you, meaning me, or all of us.
One.
Okay, but you mean you.
I mean
right?
specifically,
Right.
Yes. Yeah. It was one of those days. So today's been great.
You got a better handle on today.
Yeah, I mean I double checked to make sure the tags were all facing on the right sides.
It's hard. Also, because sometimes the underwear can be inside out.
Yeah.
And that's inside out and backwards. There are too many things that can go wrong with underwear.
It's a nightmare.
MikeWeldon.com, promo code Nintendo. Weather report.
Really pleasant.
Really pleasant
Mhm.
today. Couldn't have asked for we're coming at you from a holiday, Memorial Day, and it's a beautiful day for that. Mark, what have you been playing?
Did you know that there's a Coliseum area in Breath of the Wild?
Yes. Yes.
I just discovered it.
So you've been playing The Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild?
Yes. Yeah. Good point.
Yes. And there's a silver Lionel in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And some kind of tough enemies just kind of scattered around on the various platforms.
Yeah, it's actually pretty close to the Great Plateau.
Yeah.
So it'd be super easy for that to be one of the first things you encountered.
Yeah.
Depending on which direction you jumped.
Well, just south of the Great Plateau, there's that ravine where you find the giant horse. And there are also two silver Lionels down there. So you could fight some of the hardest stuff in the game immediately after getting off the plateau.
So last week I mentioned that I had 119 shrines, but I had no idea where the one shrine was remaining, and I managed to locate that down in the Gerudo Desert area. And I found that having all 120 shrines has taken a burden off of me, and so I'm just enjoying exploring more and actually paying more attention to I'm finding Korok seeds easier because instead of being so focused on am I missing a shrine, I'm just able to look and explore and enjoy it. And I'm also just doing things in the game that I wasn't doing before, not wearing any armor. And when you do that, it's the amount of stuff that's in this game is astounding to me. People interact with you differently.
Yeah, when you're wearing different clothes. Yeah.
When you're wearing no clothes specifically. And if you stand up on a table when you're talking to somebody,
yeah,
it
they
kinda,
don't
freaks them out.
Yeah. You don't even have to be talking to them. If you stand on a shopkeep's table, they look at you weird. They're like, what are you doing?
It's so great. So yeah, I've been playing Breath of the Wild and really just enjoying it, kind of taking my time. I think I could do this for a million years.
Yeah, it's amazing because I feel like that was sort of your approach to it before, right? I guess maybe you were on a shrine hunting mission, but you weren't until we reached a tipping point and I was I just did the 4th Divine Beast. You were oh, maybe I should start doing these things. Yeah, it seems like the game lets you approach it in such a whatever way you want, but one of those ways is just scoping out the place, just be in there.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure that I was going to like that because usually once I complete the main story elements of a game, I'm pretty much done with it. But I'm pleasantly surprised that hasn't been the case here.
Yeah, well, I mean the main story is so little, I think, of what we like about the game, right?
Very true.
Yeah, wow, man, what a cool experience.
How about you?
So I have not been playing any. I've not played Breath of the Wild since I beat it. I fully intend to go back to it and do a lot more of that shrine hunting and just wandering around. But I've been playing other stuff. like I continue to play Fire Emblem, Echoes Shadows of Valentia, which has gotten more difficult. But I'm really enjoying I'm in the part of the game now where the two armies are separated and they both have things that they need to do, and I really like kind of working on one person's path for a little bit and then being like, oh, I should hop over and see what the other one is up to, or like I'm hitting my head against the wall being like, how do I get past this one? And I'm like, oh, I don't have to get past it. I can I can go the other way with the other character. So I'm still really enjoying that, and we'll probably be playing it for a couple weeks to come. I think everything else that I've played, we're going to talk about later in the show, right?
Right. So we both played the ARMS Testpunch,
Mm-hmm.
and you picked up Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers.
That's right.
So we'll be talking about those a little bit later.
Right.
And we've also both been playing Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, for our NCS Classic Edition. There'll be an episode of that coming out on Thursday.
Right. And that may be us at our low point with the game.
Yeah,
The one
which
that's
is
coming
saying a
out this
lot
week. Yeah.
because we haven't enjoyed it for weeks now.
Right. But hey, look, 2 weeks after that, you're going to hear like a slightly different tune from us. Not to give anything away, just a slightly different tune. Mark, I think it's time that we get into the news. How about that?
We were talking about the rumor even way back before the big January Switch presentation about this rumor of a Mario and Rabbids kind of mashed up RPG thing.
Right.
And
it's not just we've been talking about. It has been like a widely believed worst kept secret in video games.
Absolutely. But listeners of this podcast, this is not like a new topic.
That's right.
Well, for some reason last week there was a massive leak of some internal Ubisoft marketing document.
Yes.
And we know this is internal because it was very clearly not written by somebody who English is their first language.
Yeah, definitely some wonky language in this thing. But let's start with the first piece that leaked. What now? Did it leak in two separate pieces, or did it all come out at once?
I think on the same day it leaked in two separate pieces. So first there was like one promo shot, which was like the close up, kind of like blurry cam of the princess Rabbid, like the Rabbid who dresses as a princess and has like takes selfies and stuff like that.
Right. And her phone has like a case with little bunny ears on it and everything. So that's the part that leaked first, and then
like a few hours later,
image?
it seemed like not just the splash image, but there was like an article written that had screenshots from all over the document.
Right. So the official title for the game is Mario plus. Well, I guess this could still change.
Right. I mean, like yeah.
So it is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And we see very clearly our four main Mushroom Kingdom heroes, Mario, the princess, Luigi, and Yoshi, and then four Rabbids dressed up like those four characters. And they're all holding like laser guns.
Yeah, and like cannons.
Yeah.
Like Yoshi has like a shoulder-mounted bazooka kind of thing that he like has going on.
Yoshi, who arguably doesn't have shoulders, right? Because like he's got like those little T-Rex arms.
I mean, real Yoshi, new Yoshi, right? Who like stands upright and everything. He's got shoulders for days.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But I'm obsessed with Commando Yoshi.
Yeah,
I think
he looks tough.
I mean, here's the thing with this leak. I'm sure like the images are all over online.
Yeah.
This looks so stupid, but in the best way possible.
I'll agree with that 100%.
Like it's kind of the dream where it's like they are very clearly not taking this seriously.
Absolutely. And yeah, they're not taking it seriously, but they are putting care into it. Like Luigi's weapon looks like the Poltergust, so it's a reference to the Luigi's Mansion series. So like, I don't know, everything about every part of this seems like they're paying homage to Mario history, but like not being super precious about it and just having fun.
Yeah, so here's kind of what we know about the game
Yeah.
based on this marketing document. It's an RPG mixing exploration and turn-based combat. Exploration is touted as being like 35% of the game, with the other part of it being tactical combat.
No, I love putting a percentage on how much of this game is exploration.
Internal marketing document. It's all like talking points, right?
It's
like
not half, but it's a little bit more than a third.
So there, I guess apparently there are 4 worlds or something to that effect, because it says each of the 4 worlds are quote twisted Mario worlds. So that's to your point of like them being referential to Mario,
Right.
without
without
like,
being reverent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has guns. Or I guess more like laser cannons.
Yeah.
They're not real. They're not like.
It's not fair to call them guns.
Yeah.
They don't have like Uzis or anything.
And then it looks like there's going to be some sort of co-op component. And from what I was reading, you don't really like specifically control the characters. There's another character that's like a little rabbit-looking robot type thing that you're actually, I think, like playing as, and you use him to like control the movement of the other characters.
Sure. That's it. It's so interesting. I feel like even with this leak, we know virtually nothing about this game or how it plays. What do you think that we do know about it? Like what from the image and the internal marketing stuff do you think we can infer about like about this game? Like I think there's like for my money, the Princess Rabbid, who's taking the selfie with the phone and like has this princess wig on. I think that says a lot about like just how goofy this thing is willing to be. And I know that people are looking at that and saying like, "Oh, that's not my Mario game." But like, come on.
Yeah, who cares?
It's so like it sort of is. First of all, like Mario is goofy, right? He goes down pipes, he eats a flower, and can throw fire. So like let's have a little bit of fun with it.
Well, so another part of the rumor was that like Donkey Kong or some version of Donkey Kong is
maybe Donkey Kong Jr., the missing Donkey Kong Jr.
Well, or like an android Donkey Kong, or like a rabbit who has the form of Donkey Kong or something. He like dabs in it or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course the internet was in a tizzy about that in this like not my Mario type way. And again, just like who cares?
Yeah. Like let's just have fun here. You can if you want to be mad about Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, be mad about it, don't play the game, and the rest of us will check it out, and if it's good, then we'll tell you it's good, and if it's bad, we'll tell you it's bad, and I don't know why anyone would get upset about
I don't know why anybody cares.
Yeah. Yes. Great point.
Like it's like okay, like if I think it's cool that they're trying it, and if
Yeah.
it fails, it can't be any worse than, I don't know, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Sure. Or like any of the bad Paper Mario games or any of the bad Mario and Luigi games. Like here's a different way for us to experience a like Mario RPG in some capacity. Let's see what it is before losing our minds about it. Also, if we're like crazy about Mario and we need Mario, Odyssey's coming out by the end of the year.
Yeah, because the rumored release date for this is like August, September. So it seems like the idea, and it's pretty much stated in this leaked marketing document, was that it was going to be a surprise reveal at E3 that only like 2 or 3 months later you're going to be able to buy.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's like kind of a bummer that this leaked, but we all pretty much knew it was coming anyways.
Yeah, I mean it's been a bunch of leaks. It's not just been one.
Natsume announced that River City Knights of Justice, which was a 2014 3DS release in Japan, will be coming to both North America and Europe this summer as a 3DS eShop exclusive.
Now, is that in the River City Ransom in that series, in the what's the name of it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, what was the game that you played just a few
Yes.
months ago?
That's what I'm talking about.
It looks to just be that, but a like medieval version. Like it's all set in the time of knights.
That's weird.
And I mean that's what it looked like from like a little bit of the gameplay and trailer that I saw.
The name of that game was River City Tokyo Rumble.
Okay, so it basically looks like River City Tokyo Rumble, but with swords and shields and armor and things like that instead of like modern Tokyo.
That's interesting. Depending on what the graphical style is for it, like one of the things that was a real hang up for me in Tokyo Rumble was the like sprite art was kind of cool, but then they were against like the 3D backgrounds that just didn't totally jibe together. So I mean, if it's like all pixely or like all hand drawn or something, then I would be more into it.
I guess I can't
Check it out.
Yeah, I can't remember entirely how the newer 3DS titles have looked, but to me it looked exactly like
Okay,
the one that we played.
like the one that we played. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, cool.
Monster Hunter Double Cross is getting a Nintendo Switch version. It was announced this last week for Japan by Capcom.
That's basically perfect, right?
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It has crossplay with the 3DS version, which is neat. But additionally, you are able to like take your 3DS save and play it on the Switch. You can also take your Switch and save and play it on the 3DS.
That's nice.
Like it's not just like one direction where it's like everything from the 3DS moves to the Switch.
Right.
It's very much like just supporting an entire ecosystem for this game.
So that's pretty cool that like Capcom is finding a way to support that, right? Because obviously they're not in like the background of Nintendo's infrastructure there. That's the kind of thing that I wish we would see from Nintendo. I had a friend over today playing Mario Kart on the Switch, and he asked, "Does it carry over? Is there any way to import your save data from the Wii U version?" And I was like, "No, everything's basically unlocked from the beginning, but no, any of the trophies you want to get again, you have to get again." And he was sort of bummed out by that, and that should be a no-brainer, right? That like games from the last generation that are being ported over, like you should have all of that stuff back. So it's cool to see that Capcom at the very least has found a workaround for it.
They're also releasing Switch specific hardware or like a design. What would you call that?
For what? For the system or
Yeah, for both the dock and the like
Whoa.
system.
Yeah.
It comes with its own like Monster Hunter design, which is crazy to me because they can't keep the regular Switch in stock.
Right, so some people are going to get stuck with the Monster Hunter Switch just because they want to play Zelda.
So no word on this if this is coming to the West.
Mm-hmm.
We just got Monster Hunter.
Yeah, what was that called?
Generations.
Yes,
not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like Monster Hunter right now only makes in its current form only makes sense on the Switch going forward.
Yes,
like
after Double Cross, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, where else is Capcom going to? What other platform is Capcom going to put it on? Because Monster Hunter has been most successful as a portable game.
Yeah. Well, one of the I don't know if we have this on the news, but some Capcom executive was saying last week that they're going to use Ultra Street Fighter 2 as like a barometer for how much interest there is.
No.
We think that's no. Go ahead.
No.
Educate me.
I didn't put it on the news because that turned out not to be the case.
Oh, whew. Good.
Yeah. No, that was
not to tip my hat too much, but I don't think that Ultra Street Fighter 2 is worth buying and would recommend people against it.
That was a like misunderstanding of what he was saying.
We're debugging in real time, Mark.
We're learning. It's the human experience. So yeah, like okay, so there's a rumor that Monster Hunter 5 proper was basically like money hatted by Sony
Yeah.
to be on the PS4. Um and I just have and because Capcom wants it to be more Western focused.
Sure.
And so they're like looking to significantly change the formula in order to make it more palatable for Western
Interesting.
audiences,
Yeah.
and that it would be on Sony's platform.
And also anchored to a home console.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that apparently the rumor is that Sony paid a lot of money for this.
Mm-hmm.
I it doesn't seem like that would be a real thing to me. But I guess weirder things have happened.
I mean, Sony has had like that's one of the reasons that the PSP was as popular as it was because of Monster Hunter. That and piracy. But so it's not like Monster Hunter doesn't have a relationship and Capcom doesn't have a relationship with Sony, but like those games are so mobile focused. So like you're supposed to be out and like that's a thing that happens in Japan. People like crowded around tables playing Monster Hunter together at like a McDonald's or something. So it would be very strange if they took this just to home consoles.
Yeah, but again, if they're looking to like completely change the formula
Yeah.
to make it more palatable for Western audiences, I guess it would kind of make sense. But I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. But weirder things have happened.
For sure. Well, yeah, I mean, you think they're gonna just try to make it more Dark Souls-y?
I don't know. I don't know what it would mean to make it more, or if it's just because didn't they? Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, we need more information.
Well, it's just a rumor,
Right.
But to me, I guess like the only system that it really makes sense going forward, if they were to continue to make Monster Hunters as they have made them in the past, would be the Switch.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
In an interview with the French site, oh man, like Jeux Video.
Yeah.
3 of Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia's developers briefly discussed the announced but otherwise detail-free 2018 Fire Emblem game for Switch, saying, quote, "As it was said earlier, we're currently working on a Fire Emblem game on Nintendo Switch. With this title designed for home consoles, we should be able to offer a completely different Fire Emblem, breathing life into our characters like never before."
Okay. What do we think that means?
I don't maybe just like instead of the portraits, like animated cutscenes.
That would be cool if they went like full on animated everything and voice acted everything. Shadows of Valentia has so much voice acting in it already. It would be cool to see it all like kind of playing out in real time cutscenes and stuff like that. But I wonder if it means like what is it about Fire Emblem as it's related to its portability that they can change if it's on a home console? Like maybe because one of the things that I really like about Fire Emblem and one of the reasons I think it works so well in like a handheld format is that like any battle is going to max out at like 35-40 minutes. So I wonder if they have like any longer maps that will be, will take like an hour or more to complete, or anything like that that's less dependent on you being able to. Because like if you're playing a Fire Emblem battle and your battery starts to like flash, like you can throw a bookmark in there and like save it real quick, but like there's always this like sense of panic where you're like, no, I've made all this progress. I just have to get it somewhere where I can plug it in or finish the battle or whatever. So I wonder if any of that is what they're hinting at.
I don't know, because it will still be it'll be on the Switch, which means portability is something that they will be keeping in mind. And so I don't know necessarily that they would want to change any of that. Also, I haven't played any of the previous console Fire Emblem games, like the one on the GameCube. So I don't know if they
or like the first 6 of them that were on Famicom and Super Famicom.
Right. And so it seems just like built into the history that it has these like 30-40 minute battles rather than like hour and a half, 2 hours, which just kind of sounds exhausting in general.
It does sound kind of exhausting, but with the way the Switch has like the quick sleep mode and quick restore, like I could see that. I don't know. I think it'd be neat to like launch into these huge long battles that just go forever.
But doesn't the 3DS basically have those same features by like closing
it and opening it back up? Yeah, but the battery, like its ability to save its battery when it's closed is awful. I mean, if you leave a 3DS closed on but closed for like the day, it's going to be dead.
Yeah, I think that's part of like why they didn't include Street Pass on the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, the Street Pass, that's got to take up so much battery power, and they're just like, nah, it just goes. It's fine.
According to the Financial Times, Nintendo is increasing production of the Switch to 18 million units for the fiscal year ending March 2018.
Where did they have it before?
So, Nintendo, in their last earnings, said that they expect to sell 10 million.
Okay. So this is almost doubling it.
Yeah. So Nintendo's denied the Financial Times report when the Financial Times reached out to them, saying that, hey, we've said 10 million and we expect to sell 10 million.
Right. Stop looking at our internal documents.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Yeah, I would completely believe that they have increased. That they hope to increase production to 18 million for the fiscal year, because then you can like blow away your 10 million.
Yeah.
Right? Like 10, like what they said for 10 million, Apple used to do this all the time in the early days of like the iPhone, is they were notorious for giving a lower number
than what they actually expected
for their
to sell?
projection than what they actually like projected to sell, so they were consistently like beating it. They don't do that so much anymore, but so it wouldn't be crazy to me if Nintendo's like, hey, we're going to keep expectations at a reasonable 10 million.
Right. And then later they're like, hey, you know what's cooler than 10 million?
A billion.
10 billion.
Or 18 million. And also the Financial Times is an incredibly reputable source.
Right. Almost to the point where it's like, oh, they're talking about Nintendo.
Right.
Weird.
These stodgy British people who we love.
Right.
We love the British.
Right. Sorry. Oh God. Oh God. We didn't mean to. I didn't mean to upset anyone.
And this follows on the Wall Street Journal report a few months ago that they were looking to increase to like, I think it was 12 million. So clearly, they're hoping to increase production.
Yeah, and I mean, all just anecdotal evidence suggests that there are a lot of Switch-shaped holes in the marketplace right now. So fill them up, Nintendo.
Retro controller company 8-Bit Do or 8-Bit Do has released a firmware update for their wireless controllers that makes them Switch compatible.
So that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard of this company until the news started coming around, but yeah, so they basically make, for all intents and purposes, controllers that look exactly like SNES controllers and exactly like NES controllers and other controllers for older consoles that are Bluetooth compatible.
Right. They've got I think it's called like the NES 30 or something like that. That it looks it has like the design of a NES controller, is shaped like a Super Nintendo controller, but has the dual thumbsticks and 2 sets of triggers. Which it's basically a PlayStation controller at that point, or like the Pro controller. So I may reach out and grab one of these things,
especially when Virtual Console hits the Switch. It seems great, and they look really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Is that something you're thinking about getting into? Because you didn't pick up a Pro controller,
right?
Yeah.
No, I'm more interested in like the SNES looking controller.
Yeah, just straight up SNES.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I still haven't picked up a Pro controller, and I was thinking of doing that before Splatoon comes out. Yeah. Pokemon developer Game Freak is hiring developers for an unnamed 3DS RPG. No further details were given, but do you think this means that like that rumored Pokemon?
I heard it. I was gonna let it go.
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Pokemon Stars is 3DS bound. Do you think it's like 3DS Switch or not? I mean, Game Freak makes games that are not Pokemon.
Well, I mean, I guess the part of it that's a little bit disheartening is just to point out that Game Freak is working on a 3DS game. Like, come on, guys, let's move on to the new machine. I don't know. Do you think they would need to staff up for Stars, or do you think Stars is the kind of thing that they would be like kind of working on with the old team anyway? Or, I mean, I guess I'm not all that. I never played Pokemon Yellow, for example, so I don't really know how much different those like third tiers of those games ends up being. Yeah, so I don't know. I'd be interested in it if it were something else, but that's another like. So when would this game come out if they're staffing up now?
Yeah, that's what seems weird about it. Is it doesn't seem like unless they're bringing on people for like finishing touches.
Yeah, yeah. That like what's the deal? How long do you think? When is the last like big 3DS game going to come out? Do you so it'll be supported obviously through the end of 2017.
Yeah.
Right? 2018, we're going to see games through 2018.
I think we'll see a few games. In my mind, like holiday 2017 is when we'll see the last big ones drop. But I guess I could also see, come February or March, the Pokemon iteration comes out
of 2018.
Yeah.
Because
they're selling all these 2DSs, and the 3DS has a huge library.
Yeah, that's true.
But maybe they'll want to continue to support it through 2018. At some point, it just doesn't. For Game Freak, it makes sense to do the 3DS because,
that's where the install base is.
Yeah, that's where the install base is. For Nintendo, at some point, it doesn't really make sense to me to continue supporting the 3DS super hard.
But I mean, Nintendo's never really had that pull with Game Freak anyway. Like, the last generation of DS Pokemon games came out after the 3DS was launched. So like, they put the games where the audience is, and if the audience isn't there yet, Game Freak's like, well, that's not where we're putting our games.
Yeah. So I mean, the source for the Pokemon Stars rumor was Eurogamer, who has a pretty good, and this was months ago, has a pretty good track record. I guess the further we get into this, the more it makes sense to me for it to be a 3DS Switch crossover if it's
both
on
them at the same time.
If it's on the Switch at all.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they're staffing up for. Maybe like Stars is ready for the 3DS and they just want to make sure that they've got parity between the two platforms.
Yeah, I mean but they're hiring for a 3DS developer specifically.
Well, sure.
This is not strictly Nintendo related, but the trailer for Netflix's Castlevania animated series was dropped last week. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty short.
It's pretty short, and there's like a lot of garbage up front.
The show begins streaming July 7th. Well, what's our interest level on this?
I mean, 0 for me, I think. I watched the trailer, so maybe 2.
Yeah.
Out of 10 is the scale I was imagining. Yeah, I don't know. It's how are you feeling about it?
I guess like a 5, or because I don't have negative feelings towards it, but I don't really have like neutral. I feel neutral.
You feel neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the trailer starts with like NES stuff, like it's leaning into video game like nostalgia, and then we see some like clips from the actual show.
Oh, I didn't see that part. I didn't see that trailer.
Oh, I saw like a weird trailer that was like get hyped about this video game adaptation.
Oh, the one I saw was just like 30 seconds longish.
Yeah.
And was just like brief glimpses of the show.
Oh, okay. So maybe we have different impressions of it from the little video things that we've seen. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've got a lot of room in my heart for like a violent, cool Dracula cartoon.
Right.
But, you know, I could be. It could be great. I don't know.
We'll
know?
probably end up watching and talking about it.
Probably.
So, and finally, bit of sad news: YouTube support on the Nintendo Wii. Yes, the original Nintendo Wii
No.
is being ended. That will end.
Terminated. Right.
On June 30th.
So no more watching YouTube on the Wii.
That's right.
I mean, or you got a month.
Yeah.
So like,
Enjoy it.
Make hay while the sun shines. Get in there. I don't know that I've ever used that.
I feel like I probably tried it when it first came out, because I also like sent away for the Netflix disc that you needed in order to make Netflix work. Me
too.
So I'm sure I tried it as a curiosity, but just like
Netflix disc. Why was that a thing?
But I've never used any of the video capabilities on the 3DS.
Yeah.
I can't. But there were. I guess I'm just surprised that they kept Wii support for as long as they did.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. How long do you think before the Wii U also folds on that?
I don't know. You can watch YouTube on the Wii U. I guess you can watch like Netflix and everything on the Wii U.
Yeah. All right.
They'll probably forget about the Wii U, just like
they'll just
everybody
stop
else
updating
has. Yeah. One day they'll like look at their usage records and see like one.
Right.
Like
it'll be you and I logging on to play a Super Nintendo game on there or something. What do we got coming out this week?
So on today on the Switch eShop is Astro Duel Deluxe. On June 1st on the Wii U eShop is something called Sphere Slice, and on the 3DS eShop is Of Mice and Sand.
So nothing really of consequence.
I don't really know what any of those are. And last week the Neo Geo game that we didn't know about was King of Fighters 99.
Another King of Fighters game. There's a lot of Neo Geo fighting games on the Switch right now.
and I don't know what's coming out this week.
Right, and still no word on Pocket Rumble.
That's right. Still no word on Pocket. Ugh. You know what? Just move on.
Now it's time for a regular segment on this show. It's 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today I want to talk about, because it's Memorial Day, right? For us.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else, you've just had your Memorial Day experience, so think back to that. I want to talk about like picnics and like outdoor barbecue time, and what do we like about that? Do you like an outdoor picnic?
Yeah, I guess I do. I'm trying to think, because I don't think I've had negative picnic experiences necessarily, but I don't know that I've had like overly positive ones.
Yeah, it's always, I feel like the food at a picnic is always like secondary, right? That like I'm there because like I'm gonna hang out with people, kids are gonna play with sparklers, someone's gonna throw a frisbee, and I'll reluctantly chase after it.
Well, and it's always a little bit, I don't know, like eating in a barbecue setting is I guess is never really that fun.
Right.
It's like hot or it's windy. And
right.
You're like trying to like hold down your plates and napkins with your elbows.
That's if you have a table. I feel like at most of these things you're standing with a plate in your hand.
You can't really eat all you want to, because you're like, I'm hungry, but there's lots of people here. And so I can't like stuff my face like I would if I was eating at home.
Right. If I was eating in my secret shame closet, and I would just shovel French fries into my mouth.
Yeah, but you can't really do that here. The food's not that great.
Right. Well, because that's another thing, is that you've got someone on that grill who probably doesn't want to be at that grill.
And they're cooking for a lot of people.
Right. The audience here in the 433 performance is finding it humorous when they're changing from one movement to the next. Yeah, they're cooking for a lot of people, and it's like the person who like drew the short straw and like doesn't get to play games and stuff.
Or conversely, the person's really good at it, so they're really precious about it, and it's just like, look, we're just trying to get like burgers into faces.
That's right. Look, these things are gonna be slathered in ketchup anyway.
Now, you have a special diet.
I'm a vegetarian. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, what? Yeah. We get it.
Hold on. You're the one who said special diet.
So yeah. So
if anyone should be incensed here, it's me.
Have you? So I feel like that has to complicate picnics.
It does.
Or barbecues.
It does a little bit. One of the fortunate things about being a vegetarian in LA is that I have a lot of friends who are either also vegetarian or who don't eat a lot of meat.
Mm-hmm. We call those coastal elites.
That's right. That's right. And we're better than all of you. I don't really believe that.
We love the British.
We love the British and the Australians. Anyone else can go to hell. There are always some other kind of patty that someone's throwing on the grill.
Yeah.
Or just like grilled veggies are also great. There's no way to like. I mean, I feel like it's just an extension of the normal barbecue problem.
Are grilled veggies great? Or
yeah,
are they
I like
fine?
them. No, I like them a lot. And I know you're gonna say it's because I'm not eating meat.
No, that's not what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, do you like well, this is like turning into AM radio. I love it. That's not what I was gonna say.
Don't tell me what I was gonna say.
Do you like it in the barbecue setting, or is it just like, I like these in general, but would prefer to eat it at home?
Well, that's a great point. I would prefer to eat it at home. And I think that's because also if you're eating it in a barbecue setting, that's where you're going to have to like get a fork, right?
Right.
That's, when you're grabbing a fork, like the loser's eating the potato salad, right? You want to go forkless in these situations if you can.
The other thing with barbecues is you have to bring food that travels, or like picnics, you have to like bring food that travels. When you have to pack an ice chest.
Yep.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Mark, we're going to a barbecue/picnic for the What's a Creative summer party in like a week.
Yeah.
Are we going to be huge grumps at this thing?
No, because we can fake it.
We can fake it. Do you have like a go-to dish that you bring to those things when you have to contribute?
I usually, something that has been pre-prepared. So I'm definitely part of the problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm 100% part of the problem.
Right. Okay.
I don't know, like a vegetable platter.
Sure. Like what?
With like the bad ranch dressing that nobody really likes. It's like cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a Hidden Valley.
Yeah. Or like grocery store brand that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I like to do. Sarah and I do like caprese sandwiches that just like a slice of mozzarella, a slice of tomato.
You guys have made that for me before.
Yes.
When we went hiking. That was really nice. Those are great.
It's a good sandwich.
But we'll never know.
We'll never know anything more about it. I don't know who to credit, who the performer was there, but that video was uploaded to Vimeo by Future Workspace. Future Workspace. All right, let's move into our topic for the week. Psych, I meant topics. More than one. Plural.
Oh, we got you.
We got you. It was a sucker punch, if you will. We're going to talk about Ultra Street Fighter 2, the new challengers, and we're going to talk about the ARMS Testpunch, which we had the opportunity to play this weekend. Hopefully you had an opportunity to play it this weekend too, because it's cool. Mark, where do you want to start?
Let's start with Ultra Street Fighter 2.
Let's start with Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers.
So I didn't pick this up because I don't really like fighting games very much.
Mm-hmm.
But you did, and
Yes.
you weren't sure you were going to.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to. I've played Street Fighter 2. I've played it a bunch, but it's also been, probably a decade since I spent any real time with it. So I never got the HD update to the game when it was on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. So yeah, I decided I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do it. I'm also I'm traveling tomorrow. I'm flying to Colorado and back in the same day. So I was like, I want a new game that I can play on the plane. And I don't know if this is going to end up being my plane companion.
So that bad.
So I don't even. It's not even really that it's that bad. The one thing that I think will be nice is that if I ever want to play Street Fighter 2 with someone, I've got what is more or less the definitive version of it that is basically portable and playable with two people anywhere I go, right? It's the promise of the Switch and not really the promise of Street Fighter, right?
Yeah, so from what it seems like that this version of Street Fighter 2 is not bad.
No.
It's just
I mean, it's Street Fighter 2, with one of the greatest games ever made, and it's got like all of these options to play it in either the original display or the new HD graphics. You can set the sound just for the character voices between classic and new, um, and you can do training modes, you can do online stuff, and the online seems to work pretty well. Um, it's just like it doesn't offer anything. It doesn't offer like anything new that's really of value.
right. So if it was how much was it? $40?
$40.
So
yeah.
if it was a downloadable title, or I guess even like a store.
I thought you were gonna say if it was $1.
No.
Yes, buy it.
No, but if it was like 20,
Yeah.
if it was like on the eShop for $20, do you think you would feel better about it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can buy the 3DS version of Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 for that matter, for $20. And I've never played the 3DS port, but 4 is a better game. It's got more characters, it's got more content. Yeah. So what this game offers a couple things that aren't part of previous Street Fighter packages. One is there's a 2-on-1 mode where you and a friend or you and a computer controlled character can fight against it just puts you through the evil characters. So you fight Violent Ken, Evil Ryu, M Bison, and Akuma in that order, and that's it. Then it ends. And it's weird because like the game's not. It doesn't make sense when you're fighting two people are fighting at once. Like if you have one person stand on one side of your opponent and the other person stand on the other side, and one of you just does low attacks and the other one just does like high attacks, he literally can't guard against it. So like there's some kind of like masochistic pleasure to get from just like wailing on M Bison. But like other than that, it's not like a functional game mode, right? And then there's the first person way of the Hado, which allows you to throw Hadoukens, dragon punches, hurricane kicks, and that's about it.
Did you end up trying that? Because when we talked on Saturday, you were like, I'm not going to do that.
I did try it. So again, I had my friend Greg over this afternoon, and we were just playing some games. And Street Fighter was the game that I had in there, so he was like, "Oh, well, we can play some Street Fighter," and so we tried to do this thing, and like, when it worked, like when it starts, like everything's calibrated nice, and like the game isn't like freaking out or anything, and you're throwing a couple Hadoukens, and you're like, "Okay, this is working," and you're like, "I had to do a Dragon Punch or two. Okay, it's working," and then you throw like one or two hurricane kicks, which like the motions for these things are, they're all like different. For the Hadoukens, you turn the Joy-Con on their side and push forward, right? So they're like parallel to each other.
Are you holding both Joy-Con when you're doing it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're holding the two and you push forward. To do the Dragon Punch, you hold one straight up and then do like an uppercut with your other hand. So that like those two are pretty intuitive, right? And then the hurricane kick, you have them like tilted one direction and you like swing them to the side and tilt the other way, which like I guess that's sort of like a circular motion, like Ryu spinning across the screen with his foot out. But like doing that screws with the things. It needs to be recalibrated every time after that. And even then, like there's a way to like quick recalibrate, and it just never works. Like as soon as you do the hurricane kick, that's it. It's done. You can't do anything else. So like the game just straight up doesn't work.
I mean, the first person mode looked kind of like a throwaway mode that they included just for like a marketing bullet point.
Right. And I mean, I feel like it's even more than because I feel like most throwaways at least kind of work, right? Like this thing's like just a straight up disaster. Like it's not fun, and the inputs don't register. So like if I mean, this is where Greg and I started this morning was playing Street Fighter, and we did like a little one-on-one and be like, oh, okay, this is fine, this is Street Fighter. And then here's this first-person thing, and he was like, it was one of those things where I wanted to be like, no, there are good experiences on this machine too. So yeah, I mean, all in all, I don't know. I like Street Fighter 2, so I'm glad that I have it, and that it's like in a package that I can take with me, and that if at any time I want to play a couple fights of Street Fighter, I can. And it's not tough for me to do that.
It
But-
seems like down the line it makes more sense when it like drops in price and you can get it on sale and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, and I think also when there's a controller that works for it too, because like you can play this with, you can play it with the individual Joy-Con, you can play it with a Pro controller, but all of those are there is no fight stick for this thing yet. That's coming down the line, and we will see something soon. But like right now, there's no real controller for this thing.
Do you think it would work better even with like the like how were you guys doing it? Were you both using a Joy-Con?
No, so we were using one player was using the Pro controller, and the other had the Joy-Cons in the
Grip.
The grip, yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you think it would play better on a like one of those retro Super Nintendo controllers? Like,
So it would play better because if you don't have like a joystick, the preferred way to play is with an actual D-pad, so you can hit those diagonals, and not with an analog stick, which is just kind of like looser. So yeah, an analog stick, or not analog stick, a D-pad helps, which is why I think the Pro controller is better. But like the ability to be able to drum like all the punch buttons at one time, or all the kick buttons to trigger like Blanca's electricity, which is just you tap punch as fast as you can, and if you're able to do that with like 3 fingers, it activates it like immediately instead of you kind of gotta do it for like a second before it really happens. And just having the full range of all 3 punches and all 3 kicks right at your hand without having to use your index or ring finger, and let alone your index and ring finger on your left hand. Like that's the worst, is having to use strong punch in anything, because like you're using your left thumb to do whatever input you're doing, whatever directional input, and then hitting L. It's just like that's the only time that you use your left hand as an attack button. So like that's been the workaround for the PlayStation style controller, the Super Nintendo style controller forever. And it's just like, I don't know, after playing with a fight stick and having all 6 or all 8 attack buttons, if you have one button that's dedicated to all 3 at once, there's just like it's hard to go back to.
who's your go-to character?
So my go-to in 4, which has a lot of DNA with 2, they're very similar games, was Blanca, or like he was my last go-to. I don't know that I have a go-to right now. When I turned the game on, I downloaded it and was like, I'm just gonna do arcade mode right off the bat. Did random select. It gave me M. Bison, and I beat the arcade mode with no continue. Right. So I guess I'm pretty okay with M. Bison. But yeah, I mean, I've been. This is gonna sound so dumb, but I've been with all of those characters for so long that I'm comfortable with all of them. Which maybe also breeds a little bit of my like, I know all these characters. There's no one new in there for me to master, with the exception of Evil Ryu and Violent Ken. But they're just variations on Ryu and Ken. Do you have any interest in playing it or checking it out, or?
No, not really.
Yeah, what's it look like from the outside?
It looks like a game that should be on a virtual console.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that they threw in there to try to justify the $40 price point looks dumb.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's a relief to know that Capcom is not basing their future support on that game's performance, because I don't think, I don't know, I don't think it's going to do particularly well, and also doesn't like show off the hardware in a very good way.
I mean, I think people like Street Fighter 2, right? Like Street Fighter 2 has I think it'll sell. I think it'll just it'll happen after like the price starts dropping.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean honestly, I think you're right that it at a 50% price cut at $20, this thing makes a lot of sense. And I mean, who knows? I'm seeing my family tomorrow. And if I can throw this thing down and say, hey, who wants to play Street Fighter 2 with me? I'll get some takers. So I don't know. Maybe my tune will change on it after a little bit of time and actually getting it out into the wild, instead of just as in like the TV mode, in the docked TV mode. It seems like a substandard offering. As a portable, I don't know. Maybe that'll be a different experience.
So I'm not really into fighting games, which makes the ARMS Global Testpunch kind of interesting.
So we're shifting over now to the ARMS Global Testpunch. Interesting in what way, Mark?
So I guess it's not really like a fighting game like I was expecting it. I don't even know if expecting it to be is the right term.
Yeah.
Are there other fighting games that are like that third person behind the shoulder type perspective?
So not that I can think of. Like the kind of closest analog that I can see is Power Stone, but even that has more of like an overhead 3/4 kind of perspective, and not really over the shoulder. Like it for as far as the perspective is concerned, this game looks more like Punch Out, right? Or Teleroboxer, which I will never stop bringing up. So how did it feel for you? So you're not a fighting game guy.
Yeah.
Did this game give you any of whatever it is about fighting games that you don't respond to? Did you feel those things in this game, or does it feel different to you?
No, I did. I felt I don't know, and I part of the reason I don't really glom onto fighting games very much is because I just like can't be bothered to learn the moves,
right,
and to learn how to like counter and do all that kind of stuff. Like that kind of strategy is not fun for me to like master and learn. And I felt like there was, especially when I was doing the motion controls, there was a lot of that in there. Like when I would do the one-on-one matches in ARMS, like you could tell the people who were better at it.
Yeah.
Right? And they should win because they're better at it, and they've like are better at the controls and better at like using it and understanding it. But it wasn't fun for me to play that way.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So you were playing with the motion controls for your first chunk with this game, and then when you and I were together, you were playing with the Pro controller. How is that experience different? Does it change the way that you view the way the game works?
Not really. I actually think motion controls are the ideal way to play this game, because you don't have as many options when you're playing on like the Pro controllers. And yeah,
here's the thing about the motion controls. This is going to be the exact opposite of what I was saying about Street Fighter, is that I felt like it always worked. Like anytime I wanted to make a fighter do something by moving my hands around, that it actually worked. And that, there's no like lag in it or anything. I do the move and it happens on the screen. And it's not asking you to do complicated, maneuvers with your hand. You're like basically punching forward or like kind of hooking your arm around, or like bringing them together to block.
Yeah, that was really cool because the motion controls definitely feel like the promise of the original boxing in Wii Sports fulfilled.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, right, this is what that should have been.
Right. This is that. So I want to get back to this like idea that there are like systems in the game that maybe you don't want to learn, or because the systems seem pretty straightforward to me, that like it's all about weight and like the trajectory of these punches, right? So like, and there's, I guess there are also the like status effects, but that there aren't too many different ways that like these things behave. So if you throw like a boomerang punch, that it like kind of curls around and comes back. And if you've got like a heavy fist, that it will like plow through a lighter fist. But like beyond that, the systems seem pretty simple to me. Did you find like them like when you play, are you thinking about like how the systems engage each other, or are you just throwing punches and
I'm
moving
just
around?
throwing punches.
You're just throwing punches
and that really is like and so I don't think ARMS is a bad game.
Sure.
Right, and based purely on the Testpunch. But it's not I still don't know, even though I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it. And that's down to like some of the modes, like volleyball.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fun. But is like very shallow.
Oh yeah. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing in volleyball.
That's how I felt in the other ones.
That's so weird.
Yeah. In volleyball, it's pretty simple. It's just like, oh, I just like hit this thing.
Yeah, but
I just like get it on the other side. Great, I can manage that.
But that's where I felt like, sometimes my back would be facing the net, and like the ball would be coming down, and I would punch it. And presumably, it would go up, further outfield. But no, it just like goes up and like back over the net. So I don't know. I felt like I had a lot less control in that than in the 1-on-1 fights, or the 2-on-1 or whatever. 2-on-2, I guess.
There are two, or I guess there's like free-for-alls where it's like 3 people fighting. Yeah, I had more fun with it than I was expecting to, based purely on like the trailer and stuff, which didn't really look super appealing to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that much fun with it.
I had a lot of fun when we were playing together.
Like when you get tethered together, like that specifically? Or?
I mean, when you and I were sitting on the couch, and it was putting us in games, and sometimes it would be just me, sometimes it would be you, sometimes it would be the two of us on a team. Like that was a lot of fun. I didn't expect this to be like a compelling couch co-op experience, or not co-op, I guess. Well, no, kind of.
Sometimes when you're in that mode where you're like tethered.
Or even in volleyball, that's also co-op.
Oh yeah.
But I think that may be one of like this game's secret strengths, is that it's something fun to do with a person in the room.
It was definitely way more fun playing with you than it was when I was just trying it by myself.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's also something to with any kind of fighting game, and I don't even know if we can really classify this as a fighting game, but like with any game like that, of being like, oh, what are you? How did you do that? What are you doing? How did you know that was going to move like that? And just like learning from each other. I think it's going to be really cool to dig into this game more and see how people are using it, and like what the meta game is that comes up around it. I don't know. The lobby experience was also neat.
The lobby's cool. I don't know of any game that functions exactly like this.
Yeah, do you want to describe it a little bit?
Yeah, so it like basically throws you into a big lobby with, I don't know, maybe like up to 10 people or something like that.
Sounds right.
And then it just like scrambles them, and will take like 3 people and put them in one mode, and then take another 2 people and put them in one mode, and take 4 people and put them in a third mode.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like, at least in the Testpunch, you don't have control over what mode you're going to be put into.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any control over who you're playing against. There were times when you and I were playing on the same system when we were doing couch n- not co-op, but like
Yeah.
playing together. And so there would be times
Co-play?
co-play. So there'd be times where I would be fighting and you wouldn't be, right, in like a one-on-one match. And then there were times where you'd be fighting and I wouldn't be, because they just would take us together.
Right. And if there was a spot for the other person, they would get it. If not, there wasn't. Yeah, and it's dumb little stuff, but like you can see that like three people are playing a one-on-one fight, and you can see like when one of them is taking damage.
Yeah, their little avatars like shake and they turn red for a second.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And it's not really like a spectator mode or anything like that, but it does, I don't know, it made the space between the games feel like it was alive and like other people were participating and stuff. Matches are also real quick.
They are, which is so nice.
Yeah. We played one fight where we ran the clock down. One. Otherwise, they're out and done in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, like the volleyball matches, I think, were like 30 seconds. Like,
yeah. They actually do have the timer that it goes by.
So next week,
Mhm.
for the upcoming Test Punch, volleyball will be replaced by hoops, which is like basketball.
Yeah.
And then there will also be like a mini game, like training mode, that you'll be able to engage in this time as well.
Which there also was this time, right? There was
Yeah.
a training mode where we were fighting each other.
Yes, I think that was just like a one-time,
Okay.
like, oh, here's
Mhm.
how you use this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know if the character offerings are going to be different? Because this time through there were 7 characters that you could play as, which are all the characters that we knew before the ARMS Direct plus Helix, which means that Mark's favorite, Bark and Bite, and everyone else's favorites, Twintel, were not featured in
yeah, and
this version.
before I was like, Helix is stupid, but I ended up playing as Helix, and he's great. He's like Curly from the Three Stooges. Like,
That's
he
right.
makes like a whoa, 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 whoa noise as he's running around. He's real dumb, and I love it.
I mean, I feel like that's a lot of this game is like dumb, but I like it. I think generally speaking, I'm not like in love with the aesthetic of this game or like the character design, but I like the way everything comes together. While we were playing, Sarah mentioned that everything looks like Japanese, like everything. There's a very strong like Japanese aesthetic in this game, and I sort of like that they're just, even if like that doesn't resonate with me right away, that it has like that kind of strong cultural identity in the same way that Splatoon does. That Splatoon feels very like modern Tokyo. I just like that ARMS would also be leaning into that same sort of identity.
Yeah, I don't really care that much about the specific characters, but I do think
Except for Bark and Bite.
Except for Bark and Bite. And really, like, Bark and Bite was my old favorite. My new favorite is Helix.
Okay.
But when the whole thing is together with the music and, you know, like all the presentation,
yeah,
I think it works really well.
Yeah, I think everything about this game works better in motion than in stills. Another thing that Sarah said while we were playing was that she likes the way their like springy arms look. And she's right. It looks cool when it's happening. But like those character designs are kind of dumb, right? Like just looking at them in a still image, I'm like, that's silly.
I kind of like it.
You kind of like it?
It's my bag of silliness.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So apparently Ninjara was the most played character during the Test Punch, which is a huge surprise to me, because especially on the first day, all I saw were Min-Mins.
Yeah, there were
like,
a lot of
everybody was playing Min-Min.
People like that Min-Min.
She was the second most played.
There you go. I feel like we also saw a lot of, what's the mummy's name? Is it Mummy Master?
Sure.
Master Mummy?
Something like that.
Mummy King. I feel like we saw a lot of him, Ninjara, and Min-Min.
Yeah,
like, those are the characters that people are playing as.
You didn't really see Springman very much.
I was doing Springman for a little while.
Didn't really see Ribbon Girl.
Right.
The like girl who's in a robot type suit, like the other heavy character.
Yeah.
I played as her once, but yeah, you didn't really see her very much either.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the Test Punch, so like there's no, I don't know if there's any real like meta game that has arisen out of it, or if people are really, or if they're. I imagine everyone's just gravitating towards whatever character they think looks cool,
Yeah.
or whoever they haven't tried yet. Um,
I mean, basically for me, I think the Test Punch was a great idea
mhm,
because this is definitely a game that you need to get your hands on.
absolutely.
And I liked it. Like I'm feel better about it after playing
Mhm.
than just from like the trailers and the reveal. But I can kind of tell that it's not a game that I'm really going to love. Like it's not really a game for. I think it's good at what it does, but it's just not a game that's for me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that tracks. And I even if I'm gonna like stammer about calling it a fighting game, be like, I don't really know if we're this is me doing impressions of myself. That like I think the fighting game fan in me is going to like I am a little bit excited about this. I only had the one opportunity to play this weekend, but I had fun the whole time we were doing it, and can definitely see, being excited to do it again next weekend, and that'll inform, if I'm gonna pick it up. I mean, I think we're gonna pick it up.
Definitely, yeah.
But how much I really want to put into this game. I think it could be a lot of fun. And just depending on what the scene is that comes out of it. I mean, all of these competitive online games kind of revolve around the scene that can come from them. And I think this is a lot more like Splatoon than it is like Mario Kart, right? Like Mario Kart, there's always going to be a way to enjoy Mario Kart, even if everyone stops playing it online. But I think this is really going to hinge on the community's engagement with the game.
I agree. I agree with that. I think the um fighting game is the closest analog we have to it,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like ARMS is difficult to compare to something like Splatoon because while Splatoon was a unique take on a third-person shooter, it is at
Right.
heart just a third-person shooter.
Right.
Whereas I don't really know what the analog I would draw to ARMS is. It's kind of its own weird thing. Like it is
Mm-hmm.
a fighting game, kind of, but yeah, it is more like Punch Out, but not exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to exactly. Um,
I
kind
mean, I think this is arguably Nintendo creating a new like genre of game, which is pretty cool.
but which is also like difficult. So it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult to approach and just be like, with Splatoon, pretty much everybody at this point has played a third person
Right.
or even a first person like shooter.
Right.
So it's easy to wrap your head around. ARMS, I think, is of the similar vein, and they're using a lot of the same marketing tactics, but has a steeper hill to climb.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think these test punches are a great way to do it. I know they won't, but I think they should continue to do them even after the game is out. Just give people access to the game for like an hour or two. Although maybe that just makes it so people don't ever buy it. I mean, there will need to be a way to engage the audience after launch.
Well,
right?
it seems like they're going to be following the Splatoon route
Mhm.
of additional content and like always coming down the line.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's engaging the audience that's playing it, but I think there needs to be a way to continue to uh, educate people about what this game is who aren't playing it. Um, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that looks like. Um, but yeah, I'm really interested to see the rest of the game. I'm excited to hop on and get a few more matches next weekend. I think it's all the same times, but you can check your check your local listings is what I was going to say. Look online. They'll all be listed up there. Any other thoughts about the test punch before we move on, Mark?
No, not really. I feel like obviously with the test punch, it's not enough for me to really like give a verdict on the game,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I've seen I don't know, like the modes that I enjoyed, like volleyball, are shallow enough that right, where it's
Yeah.
like it's shallow enough that I kind of had my fill just in the test punch, and there hasn't really been anything so far that's made me like really want to like sink my teeth into it and like, oh, I'm gonna need time to really
Right.
put into this game.
Right, and really like understand it. Yeah, and that is what I did see that in the combat. So I'm really interested to like
Yeah, and that's why I
get
wonder
into
if it is like more of a fighting game than we're giving it credit for, because again, we're finding this divide where somebody who puts a lot of time into fighting games and enjoys fighting games versus somebody who generally doesn't like them outside of like Smash Brothers, and even then I don't really like learn the systems because you don't have to.
Right. Which is also kind of how I play Smash as well. Like I just like running around and punching stuff and making Mario fight Pit or whatever. Well, cool. We will no doubt continue to talk about ARMS forever. Let's move out of the segment. If you have any reactions to the Test Punch, or if you are excited about playing it next weekend or whatever, or for any of your thoughts on Ultra Street Fighter 2 or whatever, you can send us an email at Nintendo Cartridge Society at
gmail.com.
We love getting emails from you and talking about them on this show. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter, just at NinCart Society, or check out the Facebook page, which is Nintendo Cartridge Society. We'd love for you to rate and review us on iTunes. You know how to do that. Also, just tell someone about this show. We share it with your friends. You love this show. You love your friends. Presumably, they love this show too. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, you can check out our discussions of comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can find more 8-Bit Betty's music on 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying Helix is his kind of weird. Thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?